welcome back to the UCC channel. This is the UCC Weekly, and we are covering Week 3's battles today. And, of course, we are not alone. We are, in fact, joined by Dr.Slaking.
Hello everyone, good to be back. I thoroughly enjoyed last week, so I'm hoping this week is just as much fun. I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, apart from the fact you're with me, eh? You can't get everything the way you want it, but...
Exactly, can't have it all in life.
Anyway, so there's a few things that we need to update you on this week, but to go over the battles that we're going to be covering this week, we have the Twickenham and Persimmon versus the Alcoholic Alamamola, the Rabid Stunfisk Epidemic versus the Canterbury Concordair, the Slowbros versus the Scary Fluffy Thingies, the Michigan Mian Shao versus the Blazing Knights, the Swindon Swifts versus the Los Angeles Latias, the Devious Ditto versus the Beverly Mudsdale, the Scaling Shamans versus the Bluffton Beedrills, and unfortunately one game hasn't yet been finished, which is the Carson Cartana versus Get Power Wrecked. So there have also been some trades in between these weeks. So there are 3 coaches which have made trades for this week. The first of which is Elliot and the Michigan Mian Shao trading Mesprit and Kling Klang for Escavalier and Lycanroc Knight. Jack and the Beverly Mudsdale are dropping X-Floud and Claydol for Mudsdale and Quillfish. And lastly, Jake of the Devious Dittos is trading Vileplume for Abomasnow. So, do you want to have a quick word on those trades?
I think they, from what I could get very quickly, I think they all are good trades. I think Elliot drops Mesprit but picks up another rocker with Lycanroc. Lycanroc's a fun mon to use.
Definitely.
I remember that one being the one that I liked more. Oh, Escavalier. I'm really keen to see Escavalier. I think Escavalier's a cool
a lot
mon.
of fun to use. It's a really interesting one because it's got super good defenses and its attack stat is also fantastic. And it gives
It's like an absolute truck.
Yeah, definitely. It's a way to counter Trick Room as well, being face 15 speed or something incredible.
The other trades were, I think there was a Mudsdale and a Quillfish incoming, which I like because obviously Quillfish gives you spikes, toxic spikes, intimidate. I think Quillfish is a little bit underrated in my opinion, just because it has nice hazard stack and it has a nice ability. And then Mudsdale as well can be really useful with that obviously stamina and everything else. It hits hard as well.
Also gets Stealth Rock now in Generation 7.5. You hear that, Dean? I'm talking to you now. Quillfish is good.
Does he not like it?
For some reason. I got so much flack from him last season when I drafted Quillfish.
As well now, is that right?
Sorry?
Get liquidation as well now?
Yeah, it does, yeah. So
some more moves. I think it's Destiny Bond too, so it's a fun one. I don't dislike Quillfish.
See. It also gets Fell Stinger and Sword Stance, which you may not have known.
That is fun, but might be a little bit more difficult to pull off than just Hazard Stack.
I mean, there's a couple
Destiny
of rain teams about, so certainly something could be used against them.
I can see that.
Just something to consider.
And the last trade was a Vileplume for Abomasnow, right? Which we were discussing this briefly before starting, and I want to see Abomasnow put in work. I like Abomasnow as a mon. I've never seen it used competitively outside of Mega Abomasnow, so I don't know what it can do. But I want to see it work.
Yeah, I think Jake's had got some experience with Abomasnow, not in League, but having used it before, so it'll be interesting to see how he accommodates that knowledge and uses it in League. But without further ado, we shall move on to our first game, which is the Bluffton Beedrills versus the Scaling Shamans, so Josh versus Wouter. And going to go over their teams to start with. And Josh's team consists of Mega Ampharos, Pheromosa, Staraptor, Donphan, Crocodile, Incineroar, Granbull, Aurorus, Araquanid, Nihilego, Reuniclus and Kartana, whilst Wouter's team consists of the Mega Gyarados, Zapdos, Gengar, Gardevoir, Gastrodon, Zorak, Xatu, Shedinja, Togedemaru, Amoonguss, Heatran and the Landorus Therian.
I both really powerful teams actually. I like both of those drafts. Looking at the team preview here, we obviously have the Aurorus, the Pheromosa, the Incineroar, the Donphan, the Kartana, and the Reuniclus. And on the opposing team, the Zapdos, the Landorus, the Heatran, the Shedinja, the Gastrodon, and the Togedemaru. I'm really intrigued to see what Shedinja does. I'm never sure about Shedinja, so I always want to see it do well, so I'm intrigued to see how that goes. And just looking at this matchup...
Go on.
What were you going to say? It's something...
No, it's not as important, don't worry. Go on, you keep talking.
Okay, I was just looking at the matchup, I think something where I'm a little bit biased, but I actually really like Donphan in this matchup. Really like Donphan.
Yeah.
Because Tokodamaru does not want Earthquake, Heatran does not want Earthquake, Landorus and Zapdos don't really appreciate Ice Shards. Zapdos doesn't appreciate a Stone Edge. Shedinja doesn't want a Stone Edge. I really, really like Donphan here, setting up rocks as well, stopping the Zapdos coming in frequently and just Volt switching out.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to see how Donphan does. And now I've said that, it probably would do nothing. But I like Donphan in this matchup. That's one that's standing out to me that people maybe wouldn't notice straight away.
Yeah, so it's also good because you haven't actually seen any of these matchups bar one of them. So it's interesting to see what you reckon is going to happen during the games. So we'll see how much of it actually affects it. But one thing you didn't pick up on is, look at Aurorus.
Did you see Aurorus last week?
Yeah, probably. He's a bit of a fan of Aurorus. But look at Aurorus and then look at Valta's team.
Yeah, that's true.
It gets Ice, obviously, so that hits... It obviously gets Freeze Dry, so that hits 3 of the 6 already super effectively, and also learns Earth Power. And it's also got Hail. So
actually, that will be very interesting, you're right, that's a good point. I'm not gonna lie, Donphan's one of my favourite mons. So
I can understand that, and I have to say Donphan puts in some hurt as well, but depends on if it's an offensive or a defensive Landorus as well. Either one's not really going to want to take an Ice Shard, especially if it doesn't get the Intimidate off first. But
exactly.
There is also a Gastrodon right there, though Donphan does learn Seed Bomb, so not completely safe there.
Really, really interesting matchup, actually. I like this.
I think definitely from matchup here, Valta looks like he's in a bit of on the back foot, but we shall see. So you ready to check out how this goes?
Yeah, let's go.
Alright, let's go. So it's a Donphan and Gastrodon lead, which is nice Toxic on the Gastrodon, from the Gastrodon, and sets Stealth Rocks up.
Straight away.
So Stealth Rocks is also really good against Valta's team as well.
Gold into the Aurorus. I think that's important. Sturdy being lost on Donphan kind of sucks a bit, and then getting damage on Aurorus early is nice as well.
I have to say, I'm really confused as to why you went hard Aurorus on either an Earth Power or a Scald.
Scald,
more than likely Scald. And then I'm just as confused as to why he didn't go for another Scald and take out the Aurorus.
Yes. Yeah. Choice. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. That's
even if it's
is
a roll
huge.
to take out the Aurorus.
It still seems worth getting that damage on it.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that he's got the Stealth Rock up as well, because that means that the Shedinja immediately can't wall it. But
oh my goodness, are we going to see a sweep here? How many lives is this Aurorus going to take? It's about to be a 6-0 in our very first.
I mean, when you look at the damage that the Gastrodon actually took, it was very possible that it could knock out the Aurorus, especially if it has Earth Power, because that would do more than the Scald as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was the play early on to try and shut this thing down, because it's just kind of...
I guess he didn't really notice it upon the team matchup, but that was... I have to admit, it's a very bold play by Amp going for the Rock Polish, but it worked out for him perfectly.
And once he got his Stealth Rocks up...
Yeah, definitely. Once the Stealth Rocks were up, there was nothing that Josh could really do against it. It was all very one-sided. I don't think there's any other way we can put it.
Oh, no, that was rough, but identifying your win condition at team preview and executing it very well. Let's say that going hard Aurorus could have been a problem, because the Gastrodon, had it fired off an Earth Power or a Scald, could maybe have taken it out, which
definitely
would have then changed the battle hugely, losing a great win con early. But I mean, it worked out for him, so you can't knock it really.
Definitely,
and it was good prep to being Rock Polish too.
I mean, that's his favourite set. I think he brings it every time, but it definitely had a good matchup here and worthwhile. Be interesting to see if he decides on running a set which is Z potentially one time, or something that's not leftovers and actually have extra damage output from this Aurorus, because it might actually be more beneficial in some matchups. I've had an Expert Belt there. I think it would have been over anyway.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking to say. Expert Belt would have been really, really nice there.
So it'd be nice to see him change that up a bit as well. Anyway, so from one short game, we're going to move on to the next game, which is, of course, myself versus Flo. So going over the two teams, there is, of course, a video which is going up, which will go in detail of this matchup and the battle. But a quick overview, my team consists of Mega Altaria, Magiana, Mandibuzz, Minior, Tentacruel, Virizion, Miltank, Ambipom, Moltres, Cobalion, Celebi and Mamoswine, whilst Flo's team consists of the Mega Heracross, Jirachi, Gliscor, Snorlax, Tangrowth, Alomomola, Wobbuffet, Gorbis, Talonflame, Alolan Ninetales, Blaziken with Speed Boost and Hooper Unbound.
Oh, that's some power. Both these teams have power. So we see the Speed Boost Blaziken, the Gliscor, the Hooper Unbound, the Mega Heracross, the Alomomola, and the Jirachi. And then on your side, of course, we see the Virizion, the Ambipom, the Moltres, the Miltank, the Mandibuzz, and the Altaria.
Or as I like to call Alomomola, Alomomola.
I don't even know.
I just like to call it Alomomola.
Really big fish. That's what it's called now. From now on. I don't know.
Thing.
I hear it has a drinking problem, but that's just rumors. I'm not sure.
That's not a rumor. I think it gets through oceans worth of liquids.
We're gonna get letters in the post now for slander and defamation. But there we go. I didn't make the team name Alcoholic Alomomola. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me either. But I did play them. So yeah.
I think this matchup is super interesting because I'm intrigued to see how your Mandibuzz does here. I know you like Mandibuzz a lot. Mega Heracross gets Skill Link Rock Blast, which is going to be a problem, and I do think Mega Heracross could put in work here as well. So I'm intrigued to see actually how this plays out.
Yeah, and of course, as I've already mentioned, one plug, and I'm going to plug it again. Go and check out my team builder if you want to see an in-depth analysis of this battle. But I'll give you a quick rundown of my team. I've got physically defensive Altaria. I got fairly speedy, bulky Mandibuzz. I got Spadef, Miltank. I got Expert Belt on the Moltres. I got Life Orb, Technician, Ambipom, and Sub-Sword Stance, Virizion. So, you ready to get into this?
Yeah, let's go.
Alright, and go. So, the lead's going to be Moltres versus Blaziken. What do you reckon on that?
His speed boost is nice, and then potentially having the Stone Edge, but okay, you outsped anyway, so...
Yeah, started the Tailwind turn 1 predicting that, which worked out really nicely. I think it was interesting that he went Hooper next. He baited out the U-turn, which was pretty interesting, because if I clicked Flamethrower there, I'd probably 2-hit KO'd Gliscor.
I didn't realise you'd do that much damage. That's impressive, to be fair. And then he misses the Thunder Wave, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, you can't sleep on Moltres. So many people do, and it's still got a huge attack or special attack stat. And early on, I do get quite a lot of luck in regards that I got the flinch on the Alomomola as well, which was really unfortunate for him, because that stopped him getting a Toxic off on me, which he mentioned later on in the game.
The reason Moltres is not necessarily that well regarded is just because that 4 times weakness to rocks.
Exactly.
But obviously, if your opponent can't get rocks up, then it's just free to put in
that was kind
damage.
of like the plan of my game, was to pressure his mons so that he couldn't really do it, I guess. And going for a substitute with Virizion forced him to switch out and get in something else.
Still does massive damage. Look at that. Taking out the sub and doing like, what, 80% to you?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I regret not clicking Leaf Blade there because it was my best play. But it doesn't matter.
For him to bring in the Rocky Helmet Mon as well and just take you out for free almost. It was nice with the Regenerator as well there.
Yeah, definitely. But for me, that was really, really good because it weakens that Alomomola and to put it in range of this Moltres, which is a real big threat against his team, which you didn't quite notice at the start. But on his whole draft, he only has one flying resist, which is the Jirachi. So that's weak to fire. That boy is weak to fire.
That's true, actually. I think, as you say, people, and me included, sleep on Moltres, and I definitely was here.
It's such a fun mon to use as well, and yeah, certainly here saving the Moltres, knowing that the Alomomola is going to have Protect is really nice as well. I kind of
much for free.
I kind of forgot the fact that it was going to have Wish though, and heal up the Gliscor. That was a mistake on my part, but it doesn't make a huge lot of odds.
Probably prolongs things and makes it a little bit more difficult, but you're still
Yeah,
in a really
definitely.
commanding position. And getting rid of the rocky helmet actually is nice too.
Yeah, especially in the tail slap variant.
Yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
definitely had to predict him going into it there. And I get a really nice 5 hits here on the glide score as well, which is really nice because it means I'm able to Turk KO it.
A lot of damage as well.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, Life Orb Technician, Ambipom really putting in some work here.
But statistically likely to knock him out in 2 turns anyway, so it's not too
Yeah,
bad with the
definitely,
five
definitely.
rolls.
Yeah, I think it was a Turk if he got 3 hits anyway.
Away from the damage output. And look, even Alomamola's nickname is suggesting that
Exactly.
there's a bit of a problem that he needs to speak to people.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just here, I'm just trying to pressure this Alamamola with the tail slap, and maybe I'm able to get a nice high number of rolls. But he's not really gaining any HP here, he's just kind of wasting wishes, which is
This
quite
is very
nice.
static. There's not a lot of movement going
All
on.
that's happening is I'm really losing Life Orb, but I'm going to make a switch into my Moltres here on the Protect, because Moltres just puts in so much offensive pressure, and it's, although I've got Hyper Voice Altaria in the back, it's still my easiest way to break this thing.
Ooh, and pick up another flinch as well with the 1 turn left, so
Yeah,
that's nice.
that was good because that had been his wish turn, and I predict him not to go for Protect there, predicting me to switch out, and I actually nabbed the kill on the Alamamola there, which was pretty huge. And then being fast Mandibuzz, I'm able to just come in at the end and knock out the Heracross with Brave Bird and the Hooper Unbound with Foul Play.
I didn't realize that Mandibuzz was even going to be that fast. Like, I don't know how fast the other two are, but I always see Mandibuzz as quite slow, usually just
It's
so
actually
bulky.
base 80 speed.
That's decent. So it's like, I think Milotic hits around that as well. So it's kind of
Milotic's
like one of those
81,
ones where
yeah, Milotic's 81.
super slow anyway. You just often see them bulky, so you don't expect
Oh,
a
I am
little bit
bulky.
extra speed.
Hooper can't actually one-shot me in with any set he wants to go for, and I'm only max HP. Well, just under max HP.
Not bad
Um,
at all.
but yeah, I'm almost max speed. I'm jolly with like 120 investment or something. I've got enough speed to outspeed a max speed Heracross anyway.
And that's a pretty tidy 4-0 win with Moltres just putting on the pressure
Yeah,
so much
exactly.
there. Definitely
Yeah,
the most valuable Pokemon.
yeah, definitely. I noticed right from the matchup it had really, really solid matchup, and the fact it had the flinches as well was really nice, and it definitely played into my court. So yeah, I picked up my first win of the season, which was a long time coming. But
You said you usually start quite slow, right?
yeah, definitely. I've lost the first 2 games in the last 3-4 seasons, so it's normal. It's normal at this point. But yeah, moving on to the next game, we have Berry versus Allen. So going over their drafts, Berry has a team of Mega Banette, Thunderous Incarnate, Volcarona, Espeon, Alola Muck, Regirock, Jumpluff, Regice, Beware, Klefki, Garchomp, and the Tapu Fini, whilst Alan has Mega Pinsir, Tapu Koko, Zygarde, Nidoqueen, Slowking, Sarina, Vanillux, Emboar, Alolan Raichu, Bishop, Hawlucha, and the PZ.
And we see brought the Alolan Muck, the Espeon, the Regirock, the Thunderous, the Regice. We've got both Regis brought here. The Garchomp, and then on the opposing side, we see the Bishop, the Slowking, the Serena, the Koko, the Zygarde, and did you say it was a Mega Pinsir? Is that right?
It is indeed a Mega Pinsir. I
At
can't
the
really
side.
remember this game, weirdly enough.
I obviously have no idea. This is not the game that I've seen prior, so
No,
I have no idea. Usually, I really like Alolan Muck, but and it definitely can put in work here. Things like the Slowking, potentially pursuit trapping it.
Yeah, definitely. It's
There's
got
a
to worry
fair
about
few,
Scalds, of course, and it's also going to have to. I mean, it's the sort of thing that might be able to check the special variant of Coco as well.
but there's a few things that do threaten it here still. You know, I don't think it wants to take a Earthquake or close combat from the Mega Pinsir. It definitely doesn't want to really deal with Zygarde. So
I mean, it
I
could.
don't know. I think this is an interesting one with Zygarde. If it got set up, say I could see it doing well here. Other than Espeon, I imagine would do a lot if it's a fast
Yeah. I
ready.
mean, it looks like I don't think even at +1, unless it's Steelium, it's going to be able to knock out Regice. Regice is he's still got base 100 defense, which is still pretty solid. So I reckon that will be able to take a hit from a +1 Zygarde. But I think also about the Mega Pinsir versus the Muck. If it's fairly physically defensive Muck, then it does also get Stone Edge. So that could be a nice surprise bit of tech for it. So that could be something else to note.
I didn't know it got Stone Edge, so that would be interesting actually.
Alright, so let's get into this battle. You ready? Go. Alright, so Thunderous versus the Coco lead. Now, what I really wanted to see was an Iron Ball Thunderous, because that would drop it into the electric terrain.
That's cool actually. That would have been fun.
It's something I've been trying to get Rob to do with VGC, to try run an Iron Ball Celesteela.
I mean, I don't know if it would be that nice to sell a Steeler grounding it, I suppose, but
I was trying to get him to run it in a grassy terrain team.
Sense, yeah.
But you're seeing a pursuit trap on the Thunderous, which is pretty big because it's going to put him in range of quick attack from Pinsir as well.
That does just lock itself into Outrage.
Is that scarfed? Oh, it depends if the Zygarde's max speed. Oh, it just misses out on the kill with counter. Oh, that is unfortunate. I like that sec tech though, that is nice.
Seeing the drop kick onto the Merc lowering its attack is quite nice as well, because obviously Merc can be a bit of a problem.
Yeah, definitely.
So getting it to -1 is not bad at all.
Yeah, definitely, but it does be able to pick off the Sarina there, which is nice as well, getting rid of his rapid spinner. And actually +2 close combat is able to knock out Regirock. That's interesting. So he's scouting for the Thunder Wave. I like that. Smart.
Actually, Espeon puts on a lot of pressure, but obviously...
That Volt Switch did nothing.
Oh, we see the pursuit, scouting for the pursuit there. I don't know if I'm a little bit ahead of you or if that's about right.
No, it's about the right. But he's already seen pursuit. Wait, Baton Pass?
Oh, we already...
Huh? Baton Pass gets around pursuit?
I didn't know that either. I didn't want to say anything, but I was like, oh wow, that's cool.
That's something I've never noticed before.
Either.
Huh, that's kind of cool. Because U-turn still gets hit by pursuit.
I say pivot moves, I think do. I'm pretty sure do.
Yeah, they do. That's really
cool. I don't
know
why Baton Pass doesn't. Obviously knew that though, making that play.
That is super cool. I love it. So there's a Wish Protect Espeon. Still can't live a +2 frustration though.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think that was gonna live somehow.
Yeah, I can understand that. But Mega Pinsir proving why it's a tier 1 Mega.
Yeah, again, a bit like Moltres, people don't like it because of its weakness to rocks and stuff, but when you use it properly, it just absolutely hammers the opposition.
I think what I'm going to do next season is just draft a team that's full of mons that are 4 times weak to rocks.
Don't realise how good they are.
I think everyone knows how good Mega Pinsir is. I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But still, I think people are still a little bit hesitant because of that rock's weakness.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting, but it's not so bad as things like Moltres, because the first time you bring it in, it only takes 25%. So it's not quite so bad in that regard. But I think overall that game was really well played by Alan. He knew what his win con was in the Mega Pinsir, and he played the game superbly around it. He seemed to have a check for everything on Berry's team, and he played better at the end of the day.
I completely agree. It's interesting seeing them in the chat at the end there talking about if the prankster Will-O-Wisp had come with the Banette and things like that. That might have been nice too. That might have been fun to see.
Yeah, definitely. It'd certainly be something that'd be interesting to consider. And obviously when the Mega Pinsir Mega Evolves, if you had the Tapu Fini as well, it's still able to Will-O-Wisp through that as well, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, so, definitely. Because obviously looking at this matchup, and it's easy to say afterwards, but with the Mega Pinsir, the Zygarde, the Serena, and the Bishop, none of those want to take a Will-O-Wisp. So
it's also, he has Prankster on the Banette, the Klefki, and the Thunderous. So he had 3 possible Prankster status options, and he actually opted to go with none of them, which was quite interesting. So it might be that he opts to go for something like that in the future as well. So
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, solid game by Alan, and that's 5-0. So a lot of big wins this round so far.
Yeah. This week has definitely been some.
So far we've had a 6-0, a 5-0, and a 4-0.
Whew.
Yeah, it's kind of going flying fast. All right, moving on to the next game, we have a game you've seen, which is Elliot versus Jared. So going
Yes.
over their teams, we have Elliot, who has Megalopony, Thunderous Therian, Suicune, Alolawak, Nidoking, Mesprit, Cryogonal, Klinklang, Tangela, Gligar, Kieran Black, Tapu Lele, whilst Jared has the Mega Medicham, Victini, Necrozma, Flygon, Galvantula, Corviknight, Toucanon, Electivire, Bronzong, Crobat, Breloom, and Marshadow.
And we see getting brought on Elliot, the one guy's side, we see the Gligar, the Suicune, the Ololawak, the Tangela, Thundurus, and the Kieran Black. And then on the other side, we see the Flygon, the Victini, the Bronzong, the Crobat, the Marshadow, and the Galvantula. I'm interested to see whether we're just going to see webs set up. I mean, I have seen this one, but when I was looking at it originally, I was thinking, we're just going to see webs from the Galvantula.
Yeah, I think we were talking about the end of last game. This is going to be a really exciting game to watch as well, because the one guy's team gets really heavily pressured by webs as well, with things like the Lele and the Kieran Black and the Megalopony. So, not
know the one guy well, and I know that he's a terrible, terrible coach, and a horrible human being. So I was. No, I'm joking. He's a great guy and he's a good coach. So I was interested to see what he does with this. I've actually been in a league with him before where he had the Kieran Black and he destroyed me with it. So I know that he likes that thing. And I mean, who doesn't like Kieran Black though? That's not really.
It's a silly question to say, or silly thing to say if you say you don't like Kieran Black. It's one of those mods which is just so good. So
and I'm interested, or I was interested to see how this battle went down watching it the first time.
Yeah, definitely. So let's get into it. There's going to be Thundurus versus Galvantula. Good lead on Elliot's part, being immune to that Thunderbolt. And he's just going to go straight up for the agility and the nasty plot, whilst all Galvantula can do to him, fairly uncreative prep on Jared's part is just go for Bug Buzz. So I mean,
which isn't doing a whole lot. He got his webs up, but then just had to let the Galvantula die while.
It'd be interesting to see if it had something like what's it called, String Shot. String Shot could have been good for him, ironically, but unfortunately, this Thundurus has really good coverage for Jared's team, and I'm sure you can all see there is a straight up sweep here from the Thundurus. Nothing that Jared can do about it.
And a bit of damage, but it's just not enough. The Bug Buzz wasn't putting out enough before it to make the Shadow Sneak effective.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Exactly. So a pretty anticlimactic start to that battle, I have to say.
Lucky. I think it was all hacks, and he didn't deserve this win.
Yeah, he should have got a critical hit with those two Bug Buzz, and that'd have been range of the Shadow Sneak from Marshadow.
That would have been fair. I don't know what more Jared could have done. I mean, he could have brought something like Quick Attack on Crobat, maybe. I think that gets Quick Attack probably.
I don't think it does, but what he could have done is Victini gets Quick Attack. He could have brought a Focus Sashmon, potentially. Or maybe
but you just don't expect
Bronzong.
I think Elliot prepped well, saw a potential sweep and pulled it off when he got to team preview. He realised, this could work, and I mean, sometimes that just happens.
Yeah, Jared's brought looks like the same team as he brought last week as well, particularly in terms of the Mons. So it looks like they're going to be favoured ones, and I know he really likes things like Bronzong, but based on the team matchup, if he knows Sticky Webs are going to be strong against him, he's decided to bring something which doesn't get affected by the Sticky Webs to be his main way of winning, and he worked around it really, really well. He
knowing that the webs were coming turn one, so he was free to set up.
Yeah, exactly.
Was smart. Like, because most of the time you'd say don't try and set up turn one, don't try and sweep from the get go. But if you know that they're going to lead with a mon that you can set up on, then you might as well. I suppose.
Exactly. So I think it was just a smart start from Elliot, and there was nothing else that was basically needed to say. So
absolutely,
it'd be interesting how both of them get on in their next match.
Yeah, for sure.
So moving on to Ben versus Tony, and their overall teams are Ben consisting of Mega Absol. What am I talking about? Mega Absol, Terrakion, Milotic, Fortress, Shaman, Komala, Charizard, Clefable, Naganadel, Uxie, Steelix, and a Pikachu. Whilst Tony's team is Mega Sceptile, Ash Greninja, Lucario, Arcanine, Primarina, Rhyperior, Garbodor, Mismagius, Rotom-Mow, Umbreon, Mew, and Tornadus Therian.
And we get to see the Yuxi, the Mega Absol, the Naganadel, the Shaman, the Clefable, the Milotic versus the Rhyperior, the uh, Primarina, the
Yeah,
Umbreon, the Tornadus, the Mew, and the Greninja. I told you, sometimes when you're just
sometimes.
recording, it goes out of your head. But I really, again, I said this a lot, but I want to see. I can't remember the chap's name, but the gentleman that took over Dean's team
Ben.
here with the Naganadel. Yeah, thank you, Ben. I remember you saying that he had been out of the game for a little while. Is that
Yeah,
right? And he was
definitely. He's
kind of
been
coming
out
back.
since about Gen 6. He doesn't even
Oh
know what
yeah,
freaking
so I'm really
Naganadel
intrigued to
is.
see him. One of the most powerful ones in Gen 7. I want to see each week whether, we see a bit of an improvement as he gets used to these things, as he
Yeah,
gets used to the new ones. And because, I mean, things like terrains and stuff weren't even really a thing in Gen 6. Like
yeah,
all of these new mechanics, I want to see, not that they're new, but that they're more prevalent now. I want to
yeah,
see how he
exactly.
adjusts. So
I
I
mean,
definitely,
they're the more of the standard meta now, aren't they? Things like terrains. So they're very,
exactly.
very common, and quite a lot of people now know how to play around them, whereas it's something that Ben won't know how to do particularly. But
He goes. But that's exciting, and his draft is still really nice. So again, as always, when you see the Naganadel at team preview, you're intrigued to see what it can do here.
yeah,
I
definitely.
do feel like there's a couple of checks on the other team that aren't too bad for it, but it will still be interesting.
Definitely, especially when we see him with nice treks last week, like the Rindo Berry on the Rhyperior, if you remember, for the Volcarona.
Yes, I do. Yes, you're right. Yeah,
So
interesting.
yeah, I mean, there's strong mons against him though. Things like the Ashgra Ninja are still super strong against him. Doesn't really have a switch into Hydro Pump. Um, once either the Melodic or the Shaman is weakened, or Dark Pulse.
This is Protean, right?
No, this is Ashgra Ninja.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So that could be a threat.
That's scary. Yeah, if that gets set up, that's very scary.
Yeah, especially as he quite often likes to run its specs. Alright,
Okay, this is
so
this is gonna be fun.
yeah, let's head into this. Ready? Go. So Tornadus Clefable lead, and it's smart play from Ben immediately going for the knockoff on the Tornadus. It's just a shame it's a Z move.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's
Wow,
smart.
that was a big lead.
Yeah, definitely. It was smart play by Ben going for the Moonblast predicting a potentials taunt, and then it's unfortunate that it was ended up being a Z move, so it was a waste of time. And that big switch into the
So
oh, it's a scarf, is it? No, 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 it already outspeeds Greninja. Never mind. I'll shut up. I'll shut up. But it's big damage on
huge damage to
Greninja.
each of that.
Definitely big
Yeah,
damage
exactly.
on Greninja. I like the fact he's
Ninja
toxic
is
to
choice
Umbreon.
block.
Yeah. I like the fact that he's
Yeah,
toxic to Umbreon, it's always cancer.
obviously Umbreon can get heal bell, so it'd be interesting to see if he's brought that or not.
But he does manage to get the Wish Baton Pass into the Greninja, which is... Yeah, that's not a lot of fun.
Would have been interesting. I think Absol. What's the ability which you get the boost if you get hit by a dark type move? Does
Justified.
Absol get that ability?
It
Is that
does,
right? Regular
yeah,
Absol?
justified, yeah.
Nice if the regular Absol had Justified instead of pressure and maybe could have switched on to that dark boost. That would have been really interesting to see.
Risky play because it doesn't outspeed.
I suppose that's true.
If
I'm
it's choice
assuming that
based,
the
it might 2 at KO. I like the Coil Melodic. That is a very Ben set. Coil Avalanche. Oh man, I wish he got that roll. That would have just made me happy.
never seen Avalanche on Milotic. That's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Good battle. I like this. There's different. I mean, obviously Ben's under a lot of pressure already, being taken down to 3-1s, but
Yeah,
I've definitely seen some fun sets and like some cool stuff from him that has impressed me.
yeah, definitely. He's a creative battler. Ah, he gets a nice flinch on Primarina there.
Gets the
But
flinch, which is really nice.
in fairness, Rhyperior is always a really safe switch in.
Kind of take that hit, but it's not gonna. It doesn't apply a lot of pressure, unfortunately, to the
definitely.
rest of the team.
Oh, Mr. Hurricane. That's
We are
kind
perfectly
of
in sync this
unbelievable.
time. It's,
Kind of
it was.
unbelievable. I've never seen Tony miss a move before.
Does he tend to have a good look?
Incredible luck, yes. Oh, he's got the Yachi Berry Giga Drain.
Very.
Oh!
That was
Oh, that
that was
roll. That roll. Man, oh man.
that was unfortunate.
Whew.
That was really unfortunate.
Yeah, definitely. Man, it'd have been nice to see Tony have something faint, because he's won 6-0 the first 2 weeks anyway.
Yeah, and he gets another 6-0
So this is
there,
a
and
third one on the bounce.
Very
impressive.
I don't think it would have changed the end game at all had the Greninja gone down, but it would have just
No.
been interesting to see a little bit of differential save for Ben as well. Might have been nice.
Well, yeah, I think he played the game in a lot of fun way.
Yes, definitely.
Tony messaged me saying he was a little bit concerned about Ben's team. I had to keep telling him, I'm sorry, but Ben he's a little bit rusty and he doesn't even know what Naganadel does. But
I'm sure he'll get it soon, though. I'm sure once he picks it up, it's going to be terrifying.
Yeah, definitely. If he slaps a Z move on it, he'll be able to get those kills which he didn't think he was going to get before, and it'll be definitely an interesting way to go about it for sure. But it was very commanding play by Tony once again, and I mean his
really,
team,
really impressive.
I mean the only thing that really hasn't taken any damage is the Mew, but apart from that, his team's pretty worn down. He's got a 1% Greninja. I mean, it's a toxic Umbreon, 24% Primarina, 21% Rhyperior, 20% Tornadus, and then there's just Mew. So I mean, he's getting worn down. It's just actually finishing the Mons, which is what people are struggling with at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see how next week they get on.
With the bulk of something like an Umbreon with the Wish and the Baton Pass, so you can pass those wishes into things, which he did with the Ash Greninja so nicely.
Yeah, definitely.
The Regenerator on Torn. It's a difficult team to break down. He has nice walls, and then things like Ash Greninja just put on so much offensive pressure. So I actually really like his team balance.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, another well-played game by Tony, and we shall move on to the next game, which is Sean and Swindon Swifts versus Ryan and the Los Angeles Latias. So Sean's team is Mega Sizzle, Landorus Incarnate, Chansey, Goodra, Politoed, Cofagrigus, Caracosta, Credilli, Lantern, Dragonite, Kingdra, and Toxapex. Whilst his opponent, Ryan's team, if I can find it, there it is Mega Charizard Y, Azumarill, Rotom Wash, Metagross, Whimsicott, Jellicent, Mushana, Rampardos, Shiinotic, Cresselia, Serperior, and Excadrill.
He brought the Goodra, the Dragonite, the Politoed, the Scizor, the Toxapex, and the Landorus. And then on the opposition side, we see the Mushana, the Azumarill, the Charizard, the Shiinotic, the Metagross, and the Rotom Wash.
So this is the second round of Sun versus Rain.
Yes, and one of the things I think I heard that I'd be curious about was the Jellicent on the Charizard team. Right? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Yeah, no, that's Ryan's team. Yeah, it definitely would have been interesting to see Jellicent here, being he's up against Rain.
So I feel like Jellicent actually has a decent matchup here. So
yeah, even if it's specially defensively to check the Landorus.
Interested to see that again. I'm interested to see how the Dragonite is run, because last week I said, maybe with those 100% accurate Hurricanes in the rain, we might see a special Dragonite, and we ended up with Choice Band Dragonite, and I was completely thrown off. And that put in the work, as I remember that pretty much won him the game last week, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'm intrigued to see how the Dragonite is used this week again.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if he uses his Charizard better than last week as well on Ryan's side. Having a rough game against Celesteela.
Yeah, they both brought weather, didn't they? In their weather matchups.
Yeah.
So, and they've done it again this week, so it'll be very interesting.
Definitely. But it's likely to be a hydration Goodra here, seeing he's got the rain, and it's not a very pure rain team here. It's quite well balanced. It's more defensive rain rather than offensive rain, which is something I like.
I think it's a very interesting team. Obviously, Goodra with the hydration, getting rest essentially for free is so nice. And Sizzle doesn't even, obviously, it appreciates the rain very much as well, but it's not going to like it if If he loses rain early, then I feel like his team could suffer under the sun. So it's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah,
Whereas
definitely.
the stuff they don't really mind the rain, so
Yeah, yeah.
it will be interesting.
Yeah, the other thing that could be interesting is it could actually be a bluff of rain and be a water absorb Politoed, which will be able to threaten the Azumarill potentially. But I think that's a weird thing to do, seeing as he has a Toxapex.
Yeah, it's slightly unnecessary.
Anyway, let's get into this. You ready? Go. Alright, so Sizzle versus Rotom Wash lead. So it's a pretty favourable one for Ryan there.
It just fires off the Will-O-Wisp.
Yeah, it's a nice way to just get some residual on the Life Orb Goodra. Interesting.
Special anyway, so it doesn't really mind the Will-O-Wisp too much, other than its residual damage.
And then Ryan not knowing Ryan not knowing Goodra gets Sludge Wave, which is pretty big. I mean, I was questioning what Shiinotic's going to do anyway, and it's kind of been the same.
I don't know what ability the Goodra had, but obviously it does get Sap Sipper, so if it isn't hydration, then it even more just laughs in the face of a Shiinotic anyway, I guess.
Although it would get moon blasted anyway.
Very true. I don't know
why.
Though,
I'm a bit surprised that the Musharna didn't actually have Baton Pass, being able to calm my Baton Pass. So that would have been pretty interesting to see.
Would have been nice, actually. I'd come out now against the Mega Sizzle. I didn't realise it was a Mega Sizzle. I missed that at Team Preview.
Dragon Dances on the Dragonite. Oh, and he has a Z as well. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's alright, the Metagross lives. Oh, and it misses a Meteor Mesh.
So he doesn't even get to break the multi-scale, which really sucks.
That is huge. That is huge.
I'm liking the wave emojis in the name. I did not know you could do that.
I think he might have just copied and pasted them, I guess. And then, unfortunately, because he missed that Meteor Mash, he just loses. Yeah.
Getting the crit from the play rough was nice, but it still didn't do enough to take this thing out.
It was kind of irrelevant in a sense because it doesn't anywhere close to making up for the Meteor Mash miss.
Yeah. Still unable to take it out.
Would have meant that the Dragonite was dead. But this is the third 6-0 of the week.
Now, again, putting in the finest of works. That's 2 weeks in a row that Dragonite has been. I think, as I said, Choice Band last week, Dragon Dance this week, just
showing
amazing.
Its versatility,
really being used well, yeah, for sure.
Definitely, and he set it up at the right time. He got lucky. I'm not going to deny that. I'm sure he won't either. But
yeah, absolutely.
He played about it really well, and he got what he needed to do done. So
those moments of luck,
game,
you have to capitalize, don't you? And he absolutely did that. So
yeah, very much so. And it was good tech having the extreme speed as well, thinking that you might end up in that situation against the Aqua Jet. So yeah, moving on to the final game we have for this week. Actually, that was the fourth 6-0 of the week.
What a week! What's been going on in the UCC this week?
Our lowest win is 4-0. Our lowest win is 4-0.
There've been have all the winners formed like a secret club where they're prepping like crazy together or something? That's madness.
No, because I wasn't invited, and that would be rude. Alright, so the last game of the week is Jake and the Devious Ditto versus Jack and the Beverly Mudsdale. So Jake coming off a 2-0 season so far, as is Jack. So it'll be interesting to see how these undefeated teams go against each other.
Something's got to give. Exactly.
So Jake's team consists of the Mega Aerodactyl, Tyranitar, Mimikyu, Silvally, Vaporeon, Shiftry, Rotom, Abomasnow, Ditto, Como, Magnezone and Blacephalon, whilst Jack's team consists of the Mega Venusaur, Skarmory, Sylveon, Dugtrio, Jolteon, Guzzlord, Ninjask. I think he had the change that actually been put in here. He had traded Claydol, didn't he?
Yes, for Mudsdale.
Mudsdale, Huntail, and then he traded Exploud for the Quillfish, and he has Greninja and Salamence.
Interesting. We see you get brought the Ditto, the Hakmoo, Komoo. I never know which one is which.
Como.
This last week, yeah, the Komoo, the Silvally, the Aerodactyl, the Vaporeon, and the Abomasnow, which we were talking about at the start of the video. So I want to see
Exactly.
Abomasnow go crazy here.
Exactly. So Claydol was traded
Three,
for the Muds.
the Doug Trio, the Sylveon, the Venusaur, the Jolteon, and the Greninja. Did you say this is a Mega Venusaur? Is that right?
That is correct. That is indeed
Thick fat
correct.
ability on Mega Evolving helps it deal with the Abomasnow a little bit more in terms of can easily, I would think, take, well, I don't know easily, but it should be able to tank a Blizzard and fire off a big Sludge Bomb. So
Yeah, definitely. It's not a direct counter though. What it does do is it stops the Venusaur synthesizing, which could be really nice. But looking at Jake's basic team, I'm not sure how he actually damages this Venusaur. There's no real obvious way of threatening it as far as I can see.
If I remember correctly, the Venusaur last week just sat on the field until the very end and picked up the win. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, he eventually managed to. He had a nice mixed set, knocking out the Incineroar, and then it just didn't die. That was against Hail as well, actually, ironically.
Yeah, good point. We're seeing another weather team, yeah. Although it's not really a hard weather team.
No. I think possibly Tyranitar would have been better in that regard, seeing as it's able to Stone Edge and hit for harder damage, maybe? Not sure. But Abomasnow does provide that option for the Ice Shard as well.
A Mega Aerodactyl, is that right?
Yes, if it's got Wing Attack or the Aerial Ace, it's going to be able to put some damage on, but then it is hit neutrally by that Giga Drain as well, so wouldn't be surprised.
Tyranitar, if it brought the sand, obviously, yeah, and also I think it has like base 90 Spadef anyway, Mega Aerodactyl. So
yeah, it's got decent Spadef, definitely.
Boosting that would have been quite nice to see.
Yeah, totally agree. I think that would have been a good shout as well, potentially. But let's see how he gets on with that. So, you ready? Let's go. So, immediate Ditto lead, copying that Protean Greninja. And he's going to see that he is either a Choice Scarf on the Greninja, or it is not Choice Scarf Ditto.
Ditto, yeah, which is unusual, so...
I have to admit, I think it's more going to be Choice Scarf Greninja. It's going to reveal the Fire Fang on the Aerodactyl as well, which is going to put some pressure on the... I'm surprised he didn't knock out the Skarmory.
In the switch there. You're just feeling you can defog for free and wanting that, but definitely interesting.
Maybe. This is incredibly good prep on Jack's part. Going for the Quick Feet Jolteon, and then able to trap
the Volt Absorb.
Without the Volt Absorb, so he can Volt Switch on the Ditto, and then get in his Doug Trio and trap it and knock it out. Which was absolutely beautiful prep. Very, very good. Much props for that.
The avalanche from the Abomasnow only doing 23% there, so not massive damage output, but at least we got to see it. Even before the thick fat, that Venusaur's taking nothing from that Ice Beam in the Hail.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm guessing this is a fairly bulky Venusaur, unless the Silvally has just got no offensive.
I mean, suggesting that because it's got the defog, I'd suggest it's fairly defensive in nature. But interesting that he's got Roar, but that Earthquake, that does absolutely nothing. Not sure why he wouldn't go for a Dragon Claw or something if he has it, but as you said at the start, this Venusaur, I'm not quite sure how he's going to break it.
Even with the parting shot drops, it's not really making a difference because it's just sitting and leech seeding things. It doesn't need to do a lot more.
If it doesn't have the Sludge Bomb, the Abomasnow may actually be able to check it, being obviously immune to that Giga Drain. But by the fact he just switches the Venusaur in on it...
Exactly, yeah. Seeing it come straight in, you've got to be expecting
it to have the... He's actually got Raw. So he's got Raw, Giga Drain, Leech Seed, Synthesis? He might not have it, you know.
He might not have brought Synthesis, I don't know. Maybe he's just banking on Leech Seed recovery, but that might be a bit risky.
Yeah. I mean, it's working out for him.
Doing a lot...
That's an interesting train of thought, actually. I like that.
Steel does a nice job keeping it healthy, in that the Venusaur isn't doing a whole lot to the Silvally Steel, but it's not really doing a whole lot back either. That's the problem.
I mean, they're both playing a good game. Passing shot out on the Doug Trio switch in. He's doubling back into it to try and threaten when he knows the Dugtrio is going to switch out. So he's playing the game really well. I think he was put on the back foot earlier by losing that Ditto, because that would really be able to threaten the Venusaur. So I don't think there's really a lot Venusaur can do to Venusaur.
That's very true, actually. I didn't think about how big that might have been. A bit of a war of attrition here. As long as Jake's battle doesn't go as long as last week, though. As long as it's not another 200 turns or whatever he had last week.
Yeah, but it's also nice prep on Jack's part, bringing the Moonblast instead of the Hyper Voice as well, with potential soundproof on the Abomasnow and the Como, predicting that and going for the Moonblast as well.
I didn't notice that. That's very true. I forget that Komodo gets soundproof. That's very true. I wouldn't have expected it on the Abomasnow, but on the Komodo, you may well be right. That's probably what he brought.
He actually didn't, because if you see, he didn't take any damage from the hail, so he's actually Overcoat.
Oh, well, I suppose that makes sense with the hail team as well.
But still reckon, I mean, maybe that was even better prep on Jake's part, for the fact he knew that the Jack was going to go for Moonblast instead of the Hyper Voice. Because unfortunately, Bulletproof doesn't stop Moonblast for some reason.
Yeah, that would have been an interesting 50-50 if it did, trying to decide which ability and which moves are going to be run.
I'll just run Dazzling Gleam.
Yeah, good point. Easy.
But, yeah, at this point, the Beverly Mudstail are in a lot of control. Now he's trapped and knocked out the Silvally. He doesn't really have a lot of defensive structure left.
And no defog, I don't think, to get rid of these rocks. So it's just getting worn down by the constant switching into rocks, and there's not much else he can do. He has to keep switching. So
yeah, definitely. I think he doesn't really have any sort of breaking potential at this point.
I think you're right in that the Silvally was so crucial to longer if he could. But I mean, he definitely was under pressure. The Venusaur just comes in and sits there every time it wants to. It makes it very difficult for Jake.
And it actually ends up being that Sylveon's the thing that puts him under the biggest hurt. But yeah, very well prepped on Jack's part.
Definitely.
At the end of the day, it was an out-prepping. They both played their game fairly well. Jack played it superbly. Jake still played a good game. But Jack's prep was higher level than Jake's on this game, and I think that's where the battle was won.
I think Jake can take away a lot of positives here. He made good switches, he made good plays, he didn't do a whole lot wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
He just suffered straight away at the team matchup. We could see there was going to be a problem. And
yeah, I think he almost underestimated the Mega Venusaur and also potentially that Sylveon.
Yeah, absolutely.
But as we saying earlier, the Silvally Steel, good way to check that Sylveon. As soon as it was trapped, it was all over for it. And that Dugtrio was the biggest difference, I reckon, being able to trap and kill the Ditto and the Silvally.
Breaking the two things that could potentially... Well, the Silvally was kind of walling the Venusaur, handled the Sylveon, and the Ditto would have done a good job against the Venusaur, as you said. So definitely the Ditto trapped the two crucial things on...
As I say, he played it on point. It was really, really good play on Jack's part, I have to say. And with his ability to Volt Switch and Baton Pass and U-turn on that team, he's got a lot of momentum, gaining options to switch out from when your opponent switches, and then just trap whatever comes in. So he's got a really nice core there for him. So it'll be interesting to see how he uses it next week.
I agree. I think, as we said, the matchup, I definitely think the Tyranitar would have helped a little bit here, boosting the special defense of the like that. I think the Sand would have been more useful than the Hail in the end. But that being said, I hope that in future weeks Abomasnow can come back and do something special, because I really want to see that happen.
I mean, neither one of them had a particularly fantastic matchup. I like the fact that the Venusaur was almost walled by the Abomasnow. That was pretty smart on Jake's part, because I don't believe we actually saw the Sludge Bomb from the Venusaur. So it could be that he had a different coverage move instead. So it's an interesting thing to think about. one regard, Tyranitar would have been better, but perhaps he made the right call and went for it. But
Yeah.
neither one of
Good
them,
point.
as I say, has a particularly favourable matchup. Maybe someone like Blacephalon would have been nice, although he does have no, it doesn't get trapped by Dugtrio, never mind. But obviously it is outsped by the Greninja, which we also know is Choice Scarfed. But, I mean, he would have been able to play around that turn 1, because he knew it was Choice Scarf turn 1 from the Ditto, so he had plenty to scout out from with that.
Very true. That was good information in the first turn that maybe would have helped with the Blacephalon around.
Yeah, or it would have been the opposite, and if Jack wasn't Scarfed, then he knew the Ditto wasn't Scarfed turn 1. But
We don't quite know. We're just assuming that it is
I
Scarf.
reckon it was Scarf Ditto and Scarf Greninja. We never saw the
I,
Greninja switch up moves from Toxic Spike, so yeah, they are the week 3 battles. I hope you all enjoyed them, and we are going to move on to next week's games, which are going to be the Rabid Stunfisk Epidemic and Ben versus myself, so it's the Ben off. We have Alan and the Slowbros versus Elliot and the Michigan Mian Shao. We have Sean and the Swindon Swifts versus Jake and the Devious Ditto. We have Scaling Shamans and Vouter versus Anthony and the Carson Cartana. We have Rob and Get Power Act versus Josh and the Bluffton Beehives. We have Jack and the Beverly Mudsdale versus Ryan and the Los Angeles Latias. We have Jared and the Blazing Knights versus Berry and the Scary Fluffy Thingies. And finally we have Canterbury Concolders and Tony versus Flo and the Alcoholic Alamamola. So let's have a quick analysis of next week's games. So what do you reckon your thoughts on the battle are going to be? We've got Tony, who is undefeated and has a perfect record so far, against Flo, who had a pretty rough last match against me, but he obviously had the commanding win week 1.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a really good battle. Obviously you played your game very well. I think if I remember right, you had the odd moment of luck and stuff in your game as well, so it was a difficult one. But super impressive. So I expect Tony to keep putting the pressure on and probably pick up another win.
Yeah,
It'll definitely be a close one, I think.
I mean, there's a few things on Flo's team which are going to put in a lot of pressure against Tony's team, particularly, things like the Snorlax, because I don't see a lot of things on. Oh my goodness, got hiccups now. There's not a lot of ways on Tony's team to break it, with a lot of his offensive threats being
the
special.
Snorlax this week against you, I don't think we did we?
We did not, no.
I think that could be a good bring. It could be very interesting.
Yeah. So moving on to Jared and the Blazing Knights against Berry. Both of them have yet to find a win. Both of them have very big losses in each game. What do you reckon?
Berry's game was this week. I remember Jared's against Elliot, but who was Berry against this week?
Alan. Against Tapu Koko, Pinsir, and so on.
Yeah, I thought he did. I thought he did okay. I think that he was just worn down by very good prep and a very good battle. So, I saw a little bit more from Berry. I've only seen Jared's one battle against. Remember that well, and I didn't get to see anything from him just because Elliot set up and swept. So, I definitely think we'll see more from Jared this week. Definitely going to be able to. Well,
I think he's been swept 6-0 twice now.
Something's got to give, and he's definitely going to put a performance in at some time. I'm absolutely certain. So, hopefully this week we'll see a little bit more. But obviously with that record, would expect Berry to probably pick up the win here. But it would be a more interesting battle.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's actually Jared might be able to put in a lot of work because Berry's defense is not something which has a lot of reliable recovery. And Jared has some quite heavy-hitting wall breakers like the Victini and Marshadow.
And obviously with
him too.
The Sticky Web's offense as well is pretty nice if he can slow things down. And
definitely.
Investment and put out more damage.
Though perhaps things like the utility of Prankster and Status would be a good defense against his Mons with Thunder Wave potentially for the Marshadow and Victini.
there was the Clef Key and
Thunderous.
the Thunderous that both prankster with the Thunderwave
Yeah.
and the prankster on the Mega Banette. So I think you could be right in that could be one of the potential counters. I think that actually that's a super interesting matchup. I'm looking forward to that one because
Definitely.
you have different styles that both could counter each other nicely.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be interesting to see how they opt to go around that. So moving on, we have Ryan and the Los Angeles Latias versus Jack and the Beverly Mudsdale. Ryan is 1-2 right now, and Jack is 3-0.
I'm trying to. I'm sorry, I don't know everyone yet, so I'm still trying to learn
No, that's
people a
fine.
little bit.
So we got Ryan. He had a very, very commanding, or very, very well played at the very least, week 1 matchup against Josh. And then week 2, he had a rough game against Rob. And then unfortunately this week he got a little bit unlucky against that Dragonite and ended up getting swept. So he's not had a lot of fortune so far in the season, but we've seen him really be able to play in the opening match.
Team with Megazard, doesn't he? That's right.
Yeah, definitely. And I think he was really caught out a bit in week 2, and I think it revealed a weakness. And unfortunately, he went against 2 rain teams on the bounce, and it didn't work out for him. But
Jim Ash, I remember, was very unlucky for him. So the Dragonite sweep potentially could have been prevented with a bit more luck, although obviously we don't know how the battle would have ended.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Mega Charizard Y also put a lot of hurt on Sean's team, but at the end of the day, well, there's no point theory monoed on it. But Jack has had. He started off against Rob with a pretty. I mean, Rob started off really well against him, and then Jack was able to get up a Shell Smash with his Huntail in the rain and was able to get Revenge Sweep. So I don't want to say he got lucky week 1, but it was close. It was a very close game. It was one that could have gone either way, definitely.
Sure.
And then obviously this week he had a very, very well prepped game against Jake.
I think his performance this week really impressed me. Really impressed me. The team prep was, as we said, Jake didn't do bad team prep at all. But he was really out prepped this week. Just Jack was excellent. So
yeah, Jack's prep this week was the best I've seen so far. He really played it well to his advantage, and he played it his play style by the look of it as well, and it really, really showed. So
and when you come in with a game plan that you can execute that smoothly, you have the ability to execute it that well. It always looks impressive. So yeah,
definitely.
I can see him picking up another win this week if he does the same thing again.
Yeah.
I hope that he just continues to impress with the prep and the way he's using everything.
Yeah, that'd be a really good thing to see. But I reckon this is gonna be a really close game, and Mega Charizard Y is gonna put a lot of damage onto the team of Jack. He doesn't really have a particularly good switch in. Like Sylveon's there, but off the top of my head, I can't really think of one which is going to be really want to take a Fire Blast. Or an Air Slash.
Charizard hits so hard, and as you say, with that Air Slash and stuff going on to the Mega Venusaur, which has been huge for Jack in the 2 weeks that I've watched, the Mega Venusaur has been so crucial. The Charizard does pressure that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be Jack's defensive core so far has generally been the Skarmory and the Venusaur, which he cannot utilize against a team with Megazard Y. It's just something that's not viable. Although, I mean, I don't really want to. Maybe you could do something a little bit creative, and if he hasn't got Stealth Rocks up and your Skarmory's at full health, you could run. Hear me out. A weakness policy rock slide set.
If he does, then I think you guys should just give him the season right now. If he pulls that off, because that would be very impressive.
Oh, no, there's one thing pulling it off. That's the easy part. The difficult bit is thinking about it, and I've already given him the idea, so it'd be interesting to see anyway if he decides to follow my beautiful tactics.
Your wisdom, your dropping knowledge.
Yeah,
I hope that happens now.
I've got your hopes up. I guess we'll see.
At this
Anyway,
point in the video, people aren't listening to us anymore. So
I stopped listening about 35 minutes ago, so
we can reveal any secret tech we want, and we're okay.
yeah, pretty much. Alright, so we now have the Bluffton Beehives versus Get Power Wrecked. So we have Rob.
We didn't get to see Rob, did we, this week?
We did not this week, but he had a very, very well played game last week against Ryan and Los Angeles Latias. Very, very impressed by him that week. And being a former champion, I'd expect big things from him once again. Although, similarly to last week, the fact that Rob has a very rain team, once again, Freeze Dry Auroras could put in a lot of work.
Yes, well, we saw the Auroras put in, so it's obviously something he's very comfortable using.
Yeah, definitely. That said, I feel that, yeah, although Auroras has a good matchup, the fact that Rob has Rain and Swift Swim, that kind of negates it, because
yes, to some extent, for sure.
You get the outspeed on it the following turn, even if it's got a Rock Polish up. And with things like the Mega Swampert and the Ludicolo, all of their stabs hit super effectively. So
yeah, they're going to hit it so hard.
I
mean, they don't want to take a freeze dry, of course, but as you say, with the Swift Sim, if he keeps his rain setter healthy, he's got a nice matchup against the Auroras at least.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a huge likelihood of him being swept by it unless the Pelipper's already gone. Or he switches in the Auroras on the Pelipper and prevents the rain from getting up.
Yes, potentially.
So I'm expecting Rob to pull this one out, but I think it's going to be a very close game.
Because if I remember right, the Auroras just swept 6-0, right? So
yeah,
I think it's hard to go against the 6-0, but Rob impressed me so much. And as you said, with the matchup countering any kind of rock polish set with the Swift Swim, I do think Rob actually will probably have the upper hand here too.
Yeah, definitely. So our fifth game of this next coming week is the Carson Cartana versus the Scaling Shaman. So two teams looking for their first win. We haven't seen a Carson Cartana this week, and Wouter came off the end of a pretty unfortunate 6-0 from Josh and the Bluffton Beehives.
I'm trying to recall both of these coaches. I need to learn people's names.
That's alright.
A bit better. I know that Wouter struggled this week a little bit, and obviously not having a great record at the minute, he's going to be desperate to bounce back. I actually know him a little bit, spent a bit of time with him in free throws and stuff.
Yeah.
He seems like a really good guy, and he seems super enthusiastic. So
yeah, definitely.
it'd be interesting to see whether this is.
He does have a very
back.
creative mind when it comes to team building, so it'd be interesting to see if he brings that through into the this week's battle.
Did you say his opponent was? Sorry.
Anthony in the Carson Cartana. Division
A little bit as well, is that right? Their record's not a whole lot better, is that right?
No. So
I think it'd be an
Anthony
interesting matchup.
is 0-2 -3, whereas Wouter is
He was,
0-3 -17.
That differential hurts. Yeah, whenever you have teams both looking to break a losing streak, obviously, so I think it's going to be one of the battles to watch this week. Both coaches will probably go hard to prep. I'd like to see a good one here, not just a sweep or anything like that. I'd like to see this one go
nice
to a close
game.
battle.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see all of these being close games because we've had an awful lot of sweeps this week, and it's been a little bit unfortunate for those on the receiving end, I have to say.
I mean, the good news is we don't have to spend as long together, so I mean, that's the silver lining, I guess.
Rude.
But I'm very grateful for you having me here. Thank you so much.
That's all right. No, that's all right. I just won't come back next week. It's fine. All right. Next, we have the Devious Dittos versus the Swindon Swifts. So Jake, of course, picking up that Bomber Snow. He has dual weather, and he's going up against a rain team, which is going to put him in good stead. In that regard, at least. So it'd be interesting to see if he decides to go the direction of trying to counter Sean's weather.
Jake really impressed me with the way he played in the game this week. With a bad matchup at team preview, he made the right switches. He was playing very patient. I liked the way he battled. I think he just struggled a little bit with one or two things.
Yeah, I think he built the wrong team for the match, as it were.
So I think with better prep, if he plays the same way, if he makes the same switches, makes the same sort of play,
yeah,
he
definitely.
could definitely put some pressure on Sean.
That's a good
Although
shout.
obviously he's been super impressive this season.
Yeah, definitely. It's a different Jake than we've seen from last season. Not saying you weren't impressive last season, Jake, but you're actually getting the results this season, which has been really nice. So,
Definitely seen another level to his game that's really, really impressed me. I mean, he did very well in my league anyway, but he's stepped up another level since then for sure.
yeah. But in the meantime, Jake has already played Alan. He accidentally he challenged the wrong person to a battle. So,
so wait,
so
he's already played a game this week just against the wrong coach.
Exactly, you've got it.
And the coach didn't even realise.
But he played it really well, and he actually won that game 1-0. So,
did he get anything for that other than just like respect and brownie points? Does it? Does it
no,
count
he's lost respect for challenging the wrong person.
Oh, that's amazing! I love that so much.
So,
that's my favorite.
Expect an extra battle on the UCC channel this week. I reckon the Devious Ditto will upload it to just give you an idea of what happened. So, yeah. I mean, it means he's had less time to prep for this game, but he definitely played and prepped really well for that other game. So, actually being able to beat Alan, which, as we know, is undefeated as of week 3 anyway.
I guess he goes back to being undefeated now because that one doesn't count. So
exactly.
I mean, kudos to Jake. I don't know what to say. I don't know how Alan didn't realise. How did neither of them? They both just sat down and prepped and.
No, I think Jake probably messaged him at the start of the week and said, "When would you like to battle?" And then, as you would, you just assume you're battling him.
Oh, that's made my day. That's a highlight.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I'm so glad.
That. Yeah, that
my day will be made when I finally stop talking to you. Yeah, I got my revenge.
Yeah, that was fair. I'll take that. I'll take that on the chin.
And talking of Alan, we're going to move into his game against Elliot. So, you reckon Alan's going to win, don't you?
Nailed on. I don't even see this being a competition. The Aussie, he's going to be drunk, lying down somewhere half asleep. He's not going to be taking it seriously.
I mean, if he's been doing that the last 3 weeks, he's still gone 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, it's all luck. It's all hacks. That's all I've seen from him.
Certainly from my side, I see it exactly the same as you. I don't see any difference. Although it is Lele versus Coco Wars, so it's going to be a battle of the terrains, which could be a problem for Alan because his team does really appreciate there being terrain, and with the Horlucha and things like the Raichu, he definitely appreciates being in the terrain. But with his speed tiers, I reckon he outspeeds most of Elliot's team anyway, so he doesn't even really need those boosts from the
Unburden. With some chip on things like the Kieran Black and stuff, then Horlucha is very scary if it does get that Unburden as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's terrifying. Interestingly enough, when Elliot beat me with his Kieran Black, I had a Coco team, although it wasn't a hard Coco team. But so he has done it before. He brought Scarf Kieran that time. So Alan, if you're listening, beware. Watch the replay and see how Elliot preps for.
Yeah, you'll
Coco.
have to hit him up with the replay.
Because we need to make sure he doesn't go 4-0.
Ah well, there's a few teams that can still go 4-0. We're gonna have at least one 4-0 team at the end of week 4. At least one.
Cool. That's very cool.
And the final game, of course, is the Ben off. So we got me versus Ben. Ben, of course, other Ben, not me, has had a pretty rough season so far, getting back into the swing of things, and he's gone 0-3. But that said, he still does have an incredibly terrifying team, and with his unconventional sets, it becomes quite difficult to prep for in League. So it'd be interesting to see how I work around that.
Prepping for someone who doesn't necessarily know how their own team works makes it difficult because they're going to bring unconventional things, you know? I mean that in a very positive way. I don't know if it sounds that positive. But
it totally sounded positive. Someone who doesn't even know what their own team does.
I mean, he's not just going to bring standard sets. You're not going to be able to just hop on Smogon and see exactly what he's going to be bringing.
I mean, in fairness, I haven't done that with anyone yet. So throughout my entire 10 seasons, I haven't ever assumed someone's going to bring Smogon sets. I'm very well acquainted with Ben. I know his battling, and he's very similar to me in some of the sets that he will bring. So I can be I can definitely be sure that he's going to bring some interesting sets.
And the gentleman who brought the coil Milotic, is that correct? With the avalanche and
That is indeed Ben.
you've got to be looking out for that. But I think you obviously you got your first win this week.
Mhm.
Be interesting because Ben, the other Ben, does seem to be improving every week. So it's
That's a
definitely going to
worry.
be an interesting one. But if I had to stick my neck out here and make a prediction, it hurts me to say it, but I do think you'll probably pick up another win and keep your momentum going, which would be nice for you.
It would be lovely for me. It'd be continuing my traditional set of statistics anyway. So I wouldn't go against that at all. But
Yeah, the Ben off. I think you should make it a pay-per-view event. I'll be your publicity officer. We'll do some PR work and we'll see if we get people interested in the Ben off because I think it's a great name for a sporting event.
what I might do is maybe for my battle, I'll see if Ben's about, and we'll do a live comment. We'll both be in the call at the same time. That might be fun. I'll see what he says anyway.
Okay.
We'll see. Don't get your hopes up.
Expecting it, don't you? Can't take it away. You've offered it. There'll be a riot if it doesn't happen.
That's kind of interesting. I'll be kind of hoping to see that. People from all over the world coming over to Portsmouth to have a riot.
By riot, what I mean is that I'll go on strike from this, which isn't that much of a riot, really. It just means Jake will have to come back and do it with you, which is no bad thing. So.
Well, yeah, kind of. That would be unfortunate. Yeah, please don't. Excellent. So that is week 4's matches. So look forward to covering those. Obviously next week.
Can't wait for that.
A pretty safe way to put it, I guess.
Absolutely.
So at the moment, the final or the tables at the moment stand with Elliot and Alan at the top of Division 1 with a 14 and 11 differential, both with 3 and 0. I'm in second with a 1 and 2 with a differential of 0. With Ben in third, 0 and 3 with a differential of negative 16. Division 2 has Sean at the top, 3 and 0 plus 13 differential. Jake in second, 2 and 1 with a plus 1 differential. Anthony in third with an 0 and 2 differential and minus 3. We have Wouter in fourth, 0 and 3 with a minus 17 differential. Jack is top of Division 3 with a 3 and 0 record and plus 9 differential. We have Robert and Ryan are at the minute joint second, but Rob's second with a 1 and 1 record with a plus 2 differential. Ryan is 1 and 2 with a minus 9 differential, and Josh is fourth, 1 and 2 also with a. I say they're in the wrong order. Someone hasn't sorted those. Oh well. Ryan is fourth, and Josh is third with a plus 2 differential. And Division 4, Tony is at the top with a perfect record, and Flo is second, which is he's actually played 2, won 1 and lost 1, and Berry is third, who is 0 and 3, negative 16, and Jared is 0 and 2, negative 12, having played 1 less game. So thank you very much for tuning in for this week's weekly recap. Thank you for joining me, Slaking.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure as always, despite what I say in the video.
It's been a pleasure
It's
having
actually
you.
really good fun.
It's been absolute
Thank
pleasure
you.
having you here, and look forward to seeing you, speaking to you again next week for the battle. So thank you very much for watching. Leave a like and a comment down below, and tune into the UCC for other UCC content. Thanks a lot.